Hey there. So we have reached the midway point of our Hungry Ghost reset, which seems like a perfect opportunity to start to think about how we've been replacing some of those Hungry Ghost habits with new habits, and how we've been navigating some of the, for lack of a better word, triggers that make us go to those habits. This, bear with me as we talk about this, right? Some of it is very intuitive. Some of it is very obvious. There's lots of different approaches to this, but I just want to get to like the bare basics of it, and then we can go into something a little bit more conscious. Because it's the midway point and we have 10 days left. We had 10 days before this. We have 10 days after this. It might be a good time to set some new intentions around how we want to approach this last portion of the cleanse or the reset. It's also so happens to be the new moon. So if that means anything to you, keep that in mind. And those intentions might have to do with some of the healthy habits and coping mechanisms that you would like to welcome in at this time and maybe maintain once the reset is over. Okay? All right. So, when we chose our Hungry Ghost habit that we were going to abstain from, there was some reasoning for it, right? We could tell that maybe we were using it too often. Maybe it was offsetting other things in our life. Maybe it was upsetting our equilibrium. Maybe it was impacting our relationships. Maybe it was impacting our health, our sleep, whatever it was. We chose it for a reason. Now, considering those reasons, right? Like we knew that it was having these negative effects on us, but we continued to do it anyway, right? And it's likely the reason why we continue to do it anyway is because it was serving a need. It actually was helping us in some capacity. And because it was helping us in some capacity, and the way it could be helping us, there's like, think about the reasons why sometimes we go to some of our vices, like life is stressful, maybe we're feeling lonely, maybe we're feeling bored, maybe we're feeling unsatisfied, embarrassed, uncomfortable, whatever the thing is, and we go to the thing so we don't have to feel it, we can numb it, we can sit. It's a survival technique. It's actually quite cool that we have these subconscious ways in which we get through difficult times in life. And then sometimes it's not even a difficult time. It's just a habit. And maybe it started as a coping mechanism and then it just turned into a habit, or maybe it started for fun and then it turned into a coping mechanism. We don't even need to go there. All I want to say is if we just get rid of this thing that we were doing, even though we knew had some negative impacts to us, it's likely that the need that it was serving will still need to be served, right? So we can be like, okay, well, I know that I'm scrolling on the internet because I'm lonely and I'm bored. Now I'm not scrolling on the internet. I don't want to feel lonely and bored, so now I'm doing this risky behavior instead. Or so now I, never used to eat this kind of food, but now I've been actually coping with my emotions through eating, or whatever the thing is, right? So we can navigate this in a lot of different ways. We can anticipate the fact that when we get rid of something, it's going to upset our ecosystem a little bit, our equilibrium a little bit, and anticipate it. And that's why we want to have some coping mechanisms set up, some healthy habits set up, so that we can start to feel supported by them rather than we're just deprived of the thing that we need and we need to fill that void and we're going to figure it out in this very subconscious kind of clingy way. That's how I recommend it. Or we can just deal with the underlying emotions and feelings and discomfort and sit through it and deal with it. That can be really, really hard for a lot of us and requires sometimes more support than we have. And what I suspect the best option would be is to have some of these replacement habits and coping mechanisms as well as start to process and investigate some of the emotions so that they don't have such a pull on us that we need to continually self-regulate through these habits, right? And when we get to that place, if we're in a healthy place, we can occasionally indulge in these previous habits because it's not going to be our crutch or our coping mechanism. We're going to have other coping mechanisms, so we don't need to worry about that. That being said, some of these hungry ghost crutches can cause that dysregulation, right? So you might be feeling super, super healthy and your equilibrium's been great and you've been using lots of great coping mechanisms, and you go out on you go on vacation with your friends and you drink for 4 days, and now your equilibrium's all off because of drinking and being away and all the things, right? So it doesn't just have to be like, oh, I was in this really long habit that caused this. Sometimes the thing itself can cause the dysregulation. So my recommendation is to think about like the things that you always kind of wish that you would do, like, oh, the people that get up and go to the gym first thing in the morning, they seem like they really got it together. Or the people who meditate, I think I want to try that. I think I want to try meditating. There's a yoga studio in my neighborhood. Maybe I'll try to do a 30-day challenge. I've been drinking coffee every day for a long time, and I notice that really affects my sleep. Maybe I'll try green tea. There's all these shops now with green tea. I notice that my focus is really off when I'm consuming refined carbohydrates. I wonder how it will be if I replace it with whole grains for a while, right? And so what we're doing with this, with the replacement piece, is we're identifying these healthy things that we would like to integrate, and like these replacement pieces, right? So it's both. It's not just replacements. It's also adding some of this healthy stuff. Is allowing your brain not to feel deprived, because we don't like feeling punished. We don't like that. It hurts our feelings, and it enforces other things, right? Because if we're deprived, then we're going to think, oh, once I get that thing that I'm deprived of, I'm going to be happy. And so we don't want to be teaching ourselves that. What we want to be teaching ourselves is, oh yeah, I'm slowly for not needing this other thing as much because I'm so fulfilled by these other things. So I'm trying this new grain rather than this other option, and it's a new thing. I'm trying a bunch of new foods that I never tried before, so I'm not so sad about missing out on this other thing. And while I'm doing that, I'm also waking up in the morning and going for a walk and listening to really beautiful music. And this is something so lovely for myself that I really, really enjoy. And I'm not even really thinking about the fact that I'm missing out on that hungry ghost habit. Does that make sense? So if we can start to integrate these healthier habits, they can actually meet the needs that we were reaching for those other things to meet over time. And a lot of the healthier habits will keep the other ones in check. So like if it's drinking and you've started a new healthy habit where you're going to the gym first thing in the morning, you're going to and that feels really good. You're going to slowly prioritize the thing that makes you feel really, really good, right? So gradually, okay, well, I really want to keep going to the gym in the morning. So if I do drink, I'm going to stop drinking by like a certain time so it doesn't affect my next day. Well, that just cut back on a lot of your drinking. You're going to get a lot healthier over time. I really love refined carbohydrates, but I really, I want to be able to focus and get a lot more done. So now I'm eating sweet potatoes, and I'm realizing the next day I'm actually feeling a lot better, and that's motivating me because my work is a lot better. And now that I'm noticing that there's a shift in my mental health from this, I'm more enforced to do it. I really want to be one of those people that walk outside all the time. Okay, well, I'm walking outside on a regular basis. This is helping me make sure my schedule incorporates walking outside. And if I really want to have my schedule have this opening, I'm going to have to make sure that I go to sleep at an earlier time. And that's going to mean that I can't scroll until 2 a.m. because it's going to mess up and I'm not going to have time to get outside. Does that make sense? So it will help us start our brain to start to prioritize these new yummy habits while still comforting ourselves with replacements for those old habits. If we have the replacements for the old habits, we're not going to feel missing out, and we'll have those needs, whatever need, we don't even need to know what the need was that was being fulfilled by the other one, be met. And sometimes it's going to be a little bit of like trial and error. Eventually, we want to know what that need is. And then we'll keep adding good things so that we're just enjoying the new lifestyle. And then that starts to give less priority in our mind to these old behaviors because we're actually going to get more dopamine from these happy things over time. Does that make sense? Do I sound like a mad scientist? Can you let me know? If so, I'd love for you to take some time tonight and actually think about, okay, what are the old habits? What are good replacements for them? Even if it's just like a step, less. And what are these positive coping mechanisms that I want to start to invite into my life and prioritize, so that my brain starts to associate them with pleasure over the other thing. And knowing that it does take some time for our palate to adjust, whether it's our actual taste palate or anything else. But if you have a hunch that is something that you want in your life, I bet you if you get a little bit more into it, you'll get a lot of fulfillment out of it. But again, trial and error. Maybe it's not going to the gym first thing in the morning. Maybe it's, joining a martial arts class. I don't know what it is for you. You're just going to take some personalized thinking. This is like we're researching and collecting data on what is effective for you to be in balance, to experience pleasure, to experience a level of esteem in yourself, and to really, be able to navigate the difficulties of life. Because the truth is, we want to think like, oh, when life gets easier, then I'm going to cut back on this. That when life gets easier, then this is going to get better. And the truth is, life is always kind of hard. There's always obstacles. There's always going to be a reason. There's always going to be a reason to cope. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And if we can start to really care for ourselves now, it's going to make it easier to manage those obstacles. That being said, we flip our lid. It's still going to happen every once in a while where we slip up, mess up, whatever. That's okay. But the more we practice these other things, the easier it is going to be to get back to them and for your brain to associate, oh, I felt better, I felt good when I was doing these healthy things. Not just, oh, I felt good when I was doing these not so healthy things. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, take care. And good luck for the second half of our reset program.